Hey everyone, welcome into episode 7 of Jubilee Gardens. You can obviously tell we're not jumping into a time lapse here. We're going to do a little bit of an overview episode for a couple of different reasons. One, I didn't have time to put together a time lapse, but more importantly, the time lapse was kind of all over the place. Normally I try to finish one thing and then move on to the other, and that helps with editing the video footage. But we went through kind of a phase where I blew up the main street a little bit and had to piece it back together. So yeah, we're just going to kind of give an overview of the park today. We'll do some walking around in the Tegged cam here, and then we'll give you kind of an aerial overview as well. And then at the end of the episode, we're going to be introducing our first guest builder, Mineral Junction, which some of you, if you've gone to the Shy Guy World forums, you would recognize him. He won the summer competition over there. So as usual, I am joined by Commando Santa. How's it going, man?
Hello. It's going good.
Good.
We should have kept Mineral Junction a secret until the end.
Well, now they're going to stay to the end to hear about Mineral Junction.
I guess so. But we could have said some like guest builder and like, oh, now you have to wait till the end, the anticipation.
But they get to hear from him though.
But if they really like
anyone's
him,
actually heard his voice.
Yeah, but if they really like him, they could just skip to the end anyway. So
yeah, that's true. But if that's the case, they're not going to watch this anyway.
Who cares about live stuff?
Yeah. This is the entrance area, which most of you are familiar with, obviously. We'll go ahead and go into the park in the main street. Something I didn't show you was I opened up this area here so that we could put in like a shop and maybe some administrative stuff back in here or something. Not like super detailed or anything, but just give the appearance of that. And then I opened this up to I moved the restroom from the other side over here.
Nice.
Yeah. So lots of detail work still to do on the interior of this.
You can already tell the difference here.
Yeah. So I tried to fill in this sort of opening square, which it's not done. I think I mentioned in the last episode that I think I needed to do like 4 more buildings to fill in the main street. Well, I think I did 3 more, and I still need to do more now because of what I did. So, so I'll be working on the main street for probably quite a while here.
Yeah, I'll do the rest of the park. You just focus on Main Street.
Seriously. So the first thing that's obvious is this, and the inspiration's obvious too. It's obviously the fire engine from Disney. Yay. Main Street. But most of you probably know this already. If you don't, Commando Santa is a volunteer firefighter in his town, so I made this as sort of a little homage tribute to Commando Santa. So,
oh, shucks.
Yeah. So the other benefit to this is that it acts as a gate to the backstage. So theoretically, these would be garage doors that open and then allow, and there's a little bit of a spoiler of where we're going, would allow the trucks to go in and out of the backstage to the main street when the park was closed. So the other obvious thing, buildings are gone here. So all of this kind of started because I let the bros take a peek at the park and they made some suggestions, and I'll be honest, their first suggestion was just that the main street felt a little blocky and squared off, and needed some room to kind of breathe. And I'll be honest, I did not want to change anything. I thought it was fine the way it was, and really it was fine. But they're like, just try it and let us know what you think. And I did. And as soon as I kind of opened it up, and I know I sent you pictures kind of as I was doing it too. Yep. And even you immediately were like, yep, that looks better.
Yeah. Constantly being influenced by the Bro Coaster guys. It's whatever.
Yeah. Well, they're good at the game. So,
allegedly.
Yeah. I mean, there's worse people we could be taking influence from. That's for sure. But it does look better. It opens it up. It kind of, all these buildings are so detailed that having some space in between it really gives an opportunity for you to recognize the detail more. Like I think Silverette talked about that on one of his episodes. I'm spacing on the name of it, but the one talking about, or the one that he's doing right now with the mine train coaster,
Jagerhorn,
with the Swiss chalet style.
Yeah,
talked about how he really left the bottom floor of that building kind of bland, and then really made the top super decorated and with lots of ornamentation, and that when you have something that's not detailed next to something that is, it allows that to really shine. And I think you're seeing that here. So I put in some lights above. This will be kind of a little dining area for people. Also, I know we said we weren't going to do interiors, but the new spooky update begged for a theater interior. So I'll try to go in here. So so just nothing super detailed, but still gives a little bit of a theater vibe. So
man, no wonder the theater's empty.
Yeah. So then the other change, obviously there's a big gap here. I need to finish that building, but this is a pub that's tribute to Geekism, who's also known as Jaunty Sparrow on Twitter. So this is the Jaunty Sparrow Pub. He was kind enough to create this little beer advertisement on the side of the pub here. And really this whole area was inspired by Old Town Fort Collins. So if you do like a Google image search or even do Google Maps, Old Town Fort Collins has this kind of alley system in this big open square that it kind of feels a little bit European almost. And so once I started breaking up the main street, I first of all, I included the alleyway. So this is just sort of a back alley, and I sunk these brick pieces down into the cement or into the asphalt, because sometimes in some cities, for whatever reason, they pave over the brick like this, and as it wears down over time, you start to see the brick poking through the asphalt. So I did that in the alleyway here and put some little string lights up and stuff, and then what I decided to do this week, which ended up creating a lot more work to do, was open up into a little town square here.
That's actually really nice.
Yeah, so I'm really happy with how this turned out. This is a little kind of open air bandstand amphitheater. You've got some seating over here, and put in the little water effects coming out of the ground. So I'll obviously have to finish more of these buildings off. Think I'll do some more dining seating back in here. And yeah, these are just placeholders. Obviously you've seen these buildings in the park already, but those are just placeholders for now. And then this one I was able to finish, and I was really happy with this. I was trying to get for the roof, get like a patinaed copper look.
Yeah.
And so the new spooky pieces, the wooden pieces, do a really good job of giving that appearance. So now the benefit of what we've done here is a couple things. So it's opened up that narrow corridor of the main street, but then if I hop out of the tagged can there, hold on, get rid of the bar, and go out. Oh, and the other thing you'll notice is that the big wheel's gone, which I'll explain in a minute. But so the benefit of opening up the main street is that I moved some of these buildings outwards. So now what I really like is when you're on the other side of the river, it really feels like a canal. I know that you probably don't want to say that word 10 times.
Yeah, I'm not saying that word ever again.
But yeah, so it really, I don't know, it just gives everything room to breathe, and I really like the way that it looks now. It
looks way more full, and it doesn't look, like you said, blocky. It looks like it's supposed to be there.
Yes. So speaking of blocky, that is the biggest reason we moved the Ferris wheel, is because if you remember the park before, so we had Main Street here, everything was condensed on this grid, including the train station, and then we had the Ferris wheel right here as well. So what we had going in the park was a huge grid just down the center here, I guess the left-hand side of the park. And now it's much more fluid. Especially adding this little town square, you've got plazas and stuff, but it's just a much more fluid design, especially for people to kind of work their way to different areas of the park. I got some work done on the backstage, not nearly what I was hoping, but I did kind of. So one thing N7, if you saw in one of their Bro Basics, talked about using the coconut pieces as like mulch.
Like mulch, yeah.
Yeah, so I put that in there and then used just these bushes and vines and stuff to give the appearance of kind of like weeds growing. Since it's backstage, it wouldn't be, they wouldn't keep it up with nice foliage or anything like that, but you probably would have some stuff growing, some weeds probably. So, so I did that, some planters in areas, and filled in, some of these basic walls for sort of backstage buildings. So definitely a lot more to do there, but as you can tell, I kind of blew up the main street and didn't really have time to get to that. So, so here, this was the big addition here, obviously, and then I also, I gotta show this off. I should have done this in Tegged Cam, but thank you to Fog for your awesome fonts. This is his fancy font, so I'm really happy with how that turned out. It's a nice little sort of gateway into the don't freeze. It's a nice little gateway into that square area. So
that really makes that really nice, like very inviting almost.
Yeah, for sure. And it gives it a feel like kind of a small town square or something like that too. Like a gathering place that you would have things at. And then I think I shared this on Twitter. I don't think we've shown it off yet, but I'll include the workshop link for this, but I made a little kind of caricature or face paint stand that people can get done. And then, so those were the big additions that I made. And then, this too.
This.
So this is a chairlift system by Kinderly. I'm sure most people watching this probably know who he is, but I'll include the workshop link to this as well. It's just really, really well done. I mean, it looks like it's something that maybe they created in the game. So I know we talked about this initially in the park, that we wanted to, have multiple modes of transportation. So I wanted to fill in the gap that was left here, and I thought this made sense because it's relatively close to the entrance, and it's in a position where it can pretty much go down the center of the park and come back for people.
Yeah, and that is such a great spot for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so one thing we both kind of realized after I had started was that we probably should have put the entrance more over here to kind of give us some more space to build, but the benefit is where this is now. I mean, it's literally down the center of the park.
Yeah.
So, so that I did that. The other thing I did was, since we got the friction update, I worked on the wooden coaster here, which I don't think we've really shown off yet. I do have the footage building it, but I used that 4-meter build technique where you go back and forth and smooth over everything. So it took about 4 hours to do, and that would be a time lapse in and of itself. So we're gonna pass on that. But I love the way it turned out. It rides really smooth. It's got pretty decent stats too. And then before it was super white, and I repainted it so that it looks a little faded now, especially when you get up close to it. And then worked on this coaster station, which is, it just pays homage to the very first coaster I ever rode as a kid was called Mr. Twister at the original Jublilee Gardens in Denver, and it had a coaster station very, very similar to this. And so the newer one that's in the modern Jublilee Gardens doesn't have, I think it's got like an A-framed roof, but I wanted to kind of pay homage to that sort of classic 70s vibe that they had going on when, from what I remember as a kid. So, and then added a flat as a placeholder for now, and that's about it. So I had the park for 3 weeks, so I got a lot done.
Yeah, you did get a lot done.
But it's a lot still left to be finished as well. So
I really enjoy that station though. It's just so basic. I love it. It's just it just fits so well with the type of coaster. Yeah,
so that's one thing that we're, we talked about in the last few episodes, is kind of trying to get away from the like super nice stuff, which I know I added more of with that town square. But as we get into the rides in different parts of the park, you'll start to see stuff look more like this, more basic. And you did a great job of starting that off in the last episode with the station for your invert. So that was super basic as well, and it felt very, very much like something you'd see in a theme park, and I think this does too.
Yep.
So the other thing too is, so this layout is more in tune with so there's two Twister coasters. So the first one was called Mr. Twister at the original Elitch Gardens. The second one is called Twister 2 at the modern Elitch Gardens, and the modern day one has a transfer track, but the old one did not. It just had, a little cover for the second train like this, and I really liked that. So again, trying to pay kind of homage to the original, I decided to just keep it that way and not do a transfer track. Plus, transfer tracks are a lot of work, so.
Yep. It's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that is pretty much the update for the park. And now, since we're going to be, I guess we'll see what Mineral ends up doing in the next 2 weeks. I'm excited. I kind of want him to flesh out this area over here, and kind of start taking that in a direction, because, as it stands right now, we've gone really lateral this way. So, which makes sense because we have the river here and everything. So,
but I mean, ever since we got rid of that grid-like structure we had going, you can tell already it's opened it up a lot more to kind of go everywhere.
Yep, for sure.
Because that was the main reason I did the Mind Eraser coaster, was because I had no idea where to go, because none of it looked good because I was breaking the grid.
Yep. Yep. It's hard, and it's, it definitely is a mental shift to get out of that mind frame where, because, I mean, you guys didn't really get to see shots like this, but it literally was just one giant central grid. And I mean, we had one path leading out this way to this kind of sitting in an empty space. And so, so when you added this, that helped a ton, I think, to kind of, spread things out. And then just removing the big wheel, which I have it saved, it's over there, so we'll find a spot for it. But just having it moved really opened things up. And then some other stuff I did just kind of messing around is, we talked a bit about elevation changes, and how they can add so much to your park. And this is kind of something that I messed around with as well. So I use that technique. I don't know if you've seen it, where you use the like shops to make the stairs smaller than they normally would.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that? I think someone posted it on the official forums. So that's how I did this here. I also used that technique over here. So right here, you got these tiny steps. Same thing over here. So these are the subtle elevation changes that we were kind of talking about in the last episode. I mean, you're probably talking about maybe 3 feet down.
Yeah, not even.
Yeah, but it makes such a huge difference.
It does. It really does.
Yeah, and then what that does too is it creates a lower roof line for these buildings down here. So you get some variation in roof height, and and just the way that it's structured, everything was so lined up before. It was so perfect. Now everything's a little bit askew. And it just makes it feel a little bit more real, I think.
Yeah. I really enjoy the alleyway, though, I have to say.
Yeah, that was something that, so like I said, I knew so Fort Collins, Old Town Fort Collins does have these, where they've got like little lights strung across, and it's very welcoming. But so I knew I wanted to implement it. I just didn't know how it would actually look in the game, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, because it's going to be really cool for people to kind of walk back there and stuff.
Yeah, so that was another thing I did. So we'll show people, look at our ridiculous mess of planters.
Yep.
So we use that to direct people where we want them to go. So one thing that I was concerned about was that nobody would, to get down to this part of the park over here, that no one would use this corridor, that they would just cut through here, which is fine. But and that also was one of the reasons why this kind of came into fruition, is that when I did open it up, people were just coming here and here. They weren't they weren't actually using this area. So what I did, this path doesn't connect anywhere in here. I mean, it connects up here because there's a shop inside. But in this area here, this path doesn't connect until all the way down here.
Okay.
So what that did was for the peeps, because I think they just take the shortest path possible for the most part. What that did was, though, is that you get, they still mostly use this area, but there you do get a few that will come around the bend here or even cut through here and then come this way. And as we add more shops and stuff in here, they'll use those as well, I think. So yeah, so that was a decision just to try to get them to kind of branch out and not all follow the same path.
Yeah, I mean, and that's pretty much the main point there. I mean, and if this was an actual park, you know, we would get most of the populace coming down the middle of the park there, but then you'd have people kind of breaking off, going out every different which way, you know?
Right. So then we'll show it at nighttime real quick here. You really get a feel for the alley. I think that's when it really sells the idea that it's so good. An old alley. And I made the little fire escapes and balconies back here too. So lots more lighting to do, obviously, but another thing too, to try to add some kind of broken down details. So let me go back to daytime. So what I did was, a lot of times in these old brick buildings, you'll see that they've bricked in old doors and windows.
Yep.
And usually the bricks, they can't match the color exactly, so the bricks are a little bit different color, and so that's what I did there. I bricked those in, and then did that here too, where maybe you had some basement windows that got bricked in on this building, and then put in just a basic garage door that could act as a entryway into the backstage. I'll probably create a gate here as well, but I just put that fence in there as a placeholder for now. So
yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. So
yeah, do nighttime across the street.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love the string lights.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how those turned out. So I need to go in and add some variation, but one thing that I tried to do was have some burnt out light bulbs.
Oh yeah.
So I just copied them directly across, so they're all the same right now, but I'll go ahead and add some variation, and I did the same thing with these ones too.
Gotcha.
Got some burnt out bulbs.
That looks really nice.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorite views now that we have that little courtyard. I mean, this building will be completely different once I finish that up, but I really love this, just walking back through here. Even in the daytime, it looks good, I think.
Yeah, it really does, especially coming this way.
Yeah.
And with the angle of that building to your left, it was just fantastic.
Yeah, so that was another thing I tried to do too, because so much of what I've built so far are either just like two wide buildings or 1.5 wide buildings, and then right angles. And so this was different for me because it's made up of like multiple buildings.
Yep, just to get the angle correct. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's almost made to funnel people, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure. Like the major thoroughfare they use in here, and they'll get down into this area once we add some shops and stuff like that. But right now they mostly use this area, and then some of them will come down into here and use these steps. So
yeah, that's really good work.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. I'm going to do my best to keep the details relatively minimal on the remaining buildings. This one will probably be pretty detailed, but the rest of them I'm going to try to keep pretty basic because we're already getting up there in park count. So, which is another, I don't think I completely finished that thought, but that's another reason why you're going to see more of this basic stuff as we kind of get out into the park, is just part count as well. And even this structure, you can already tell, like I didn't get to finish it, but you can tell it's going to be pretty basic.
I figured you just didn't finish it because it's going to save on part count. That's just how it works,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, it's just a floating roof.
That's just it.
You just have to mentally fill in the beams and just kind of go from there. So
imagination land right there.
Yeah. So, and when I know we're handing the park off to someone else, but I'm not married to this train track layout. I was just trying to get an idea of kind of how we're going to make that work. And I did that when I was messing around with the paths, this was all just an experimentation, trying to get away from that grid we had going.
What I like about the way the train track's going to work like that, it's going to break off the other sections in the rest of the park almost. Just for it being elevated like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think I was initially going to try to weave it more over into this side, but I think as just knowing that part count is going to be an issue for us, you know, there's no way we're going to use this whole map. Like all this stuff over here, like we might have a coaster or something that goes on the edge, but
no, I figured we'd go until it starts to decline.
Like here, probably.
Yeah,
like
just
this
like
area. And so with that in mind, I think over here, when we talk to Mineral, I'll probably say like, don't go into this area. This will kind of be the end of this area over here, and we can start making our way this way. So, so that's why I didn't bring the train all the way over here. I thought we could go here, and then you know there could potentially be a station here, maybe one here, or like in this corner or something. Since we'll have the But anyway, we're getting into planning, so that's just a basic overview of the park. I know. Like when you've done those on Buffalo Valley, I've really appreciated it. It gives, sometimes in the time lapses, it's hard to see, you know, where things are and how the park is looking overall, even in cinematic shots. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this and, you know, get a better feel for kind of where the park's going and where it's at now.
Yeah, and it always does. It really works out because that's like what you said. You really lose the sense of where everything is when you're doing time lapses and stuff.
Yeah.
And just to be able to like zoom out and take one big look at it, it really kind of shows off where everything is. Because of course we know where everything is because we have the park, but not everyone else does.
Right. Exactly. So
except the pros, but you know.
Yeah, they again, I was very against what the suggestions they were making, and then when I started doing it, I was like, damn it, that does look better.
Right.
So, but yeah, so with that overview, we're gonna take a little like segue into introducing Mineral because we don't have one line with us yet, but we will be back on the other side of a transition to introduce Mineral. All right, so as I just mentioned, we are now joined by Mineral Junction. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thanks, guys. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah, I'm doing good, too.
Good.
Well, we're excited to have you in the park.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here, I have to say.
Yeah, we so for those of you who maybe aren't familiar with Mineral, I think I kind of spoiled it at the beginning, but he just won the Shy Guy World competition. Mm-hmm. So congratulations on that. Your park was amazing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Oh, go on. I was just going to say it was a lot of hard work, and if you haven't already gone over to Shy Guy's World and checked out all the other entries from other people, you should definitely do that because there's some really fantastic work going on over there.
Yeah, it's amazing. Really creative. You know, if you like sort of the realistic park builds, there's tons of great stuff over there, and even just for your own reference and for generating ideas in your own parks.
It's super inspiring.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll throw a link in the description to the thread from the final round of the competition for people to check out. So. But yeah, so your park was amazing, and I can't believe you did it all by yourself.
Yeah, it was many hours of planet coastering. I was saying to Commando at one point that my back and my wrists took a bit of a beating. And he was advising me that I need to get a new chair, basically, which I think I probably agree with. But yeah, it was intense. It was really intense, but a really good fun experience. And the first park that I've ever actually finished building, so that's kind of something to be proud of for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was really well done. I mean, we both had been talking about inviting you on, like even before the competition. Just some of your stuff on the forums really stood out to me.
Thanks, man.
So we're excited to have you as our first guest. I can't wait to see what you do in the park. I think we both have full faith that whatever it's going to be is awesome. So hopefully you're not too burnt out.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, it's an honor to be here. I'm loving the work that you're doing on this project, and I'm really looking forward to getting stuck in, seeing what I can do.
Awesome.
And it's great because we get a break now. At least I get a 2-week break, and Ruble gets a 4-week break.
Ruble's going to be laughing. You better come back really inspired at the end of it.
He's going to come back with a full beard. And
Yeah, I definitely will. I just spent 3 weeks on the stuff in this episode, so I'm ready for a little bit of a break, and then I'm sure I'll be ready to get back into it. But So, perfect. Well, so how did you get into park building? Like, did you play RCT3? Are you just a fan of theme parks?
I missed the whole RCT3 thing. I think actually when it came out, like, I don't think I owned a PC at the time, and I remember looking at the graphics and like thinking it kind of looked a bit bad, like at the time when it came out. It was one of those like really early. I mean, it wasn't a super early 3D game, but like if you compare it to like Planet Coaster, obviously, like it's fair to say that the technology wasn't where it is now. So yeah, I was just kind of a bit of a graphics snob at the time, and I was like, well, it doesn't look very good, so I'm just not going to bother with it. I'm not going to like get a PC just to play that. But I always loved the original Roller Coaster Tycoon games growing up, and I've always been into any kind of like, I was really into Lego as a kid as well, and also I was really into like going to like Alton Towers and Disneyland and the few theme parks that were available to me as a kid. So those interests kind of bleed into each other a bit, I think. And then last year, Parkitect was kind of the big thing for me, because it was easily accessible for me at a time when I didn't own a super PC.
Yeah, that was same for me. I played that a lot last year before Planet Coaster came out, and once I actually bought my PC for Planet Coaster. So
yeah, I was pretty much in the same situation. Luckily I needed a new computer for work, so I was able to kind of justify it that way. But yeah, it worked out pretty well, and several thousand hours later, here we are.
Yeah. So one thing that you said that I think is interesting, and I think it would be a common thread with a lot of people who play this game the way that we all do, where, it's less about the simulation, it's more about the design and the, we really treat it kind of like a canvas. And Commando, I think you said, someone left a comment on your last video that, the stuff that we're doing kind of like even with the backstage and things like that, it's almost like the same premise of what people do with model trains.
Yeah, he compared it mostly to trains as well as a kid.
Yeah, he compared it mostly to like a model train or like a diorama, just the way we have like some of the backstage stuff, where at least where I left it, where I have a car sitting here almost like he's trying to get through the gate and there's like a guy standing there trying, hey, you can't come through the gate, kind of like that,
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is obviously a much less expensive hobby than model trains, but
yeah, it's like one big payment at the start to get in, and then
exactly. Yeah, but I think that's a common theme with the kind of the way people treat this game, and it's really amazing to see the stuff people do. So
yeah, and I should say that I'm also kind of a fan of other simulation games as well. I'm not completely disinterested in that side of things, but like the level of creative freedom that Planet Coaster allows is just kind of, there aren't many other games that give you this level of freedom, so it'd kind of be a waste not to have a bit of fun making some cool theme parks.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Making some good parks and melting your PC all at the same time.
Exactly, yeah. Keeps the house warm in the long winter months.
And I don't think it's as time intensive as making an actual like model train set.
No, yeah, you're probably right, yeah.
Well, I would actually like to see how similar that would be, though.
Well, there you go. That's your next YouTube series, mate.
No way. I don't have enough space for that.
That's awesome. Well, so we're gonna give you the park for 2 weeks. Yeah, and I know we're both excited to see what you do. So
yeah, I'm gonna cover it in trees and probably not much else. Just loads of trees.
That sounds good. We'll just turn the rest of it into a park.
Yeah, we were expecting
like a literal park, not a theme park.
Yeah, and that's quite a nice idea, actually.
Yeah, we were hoping you would just finish the park, but that's fine. It's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, well, I'll see what I can come up with, but I'm not gonna.
2 weeks.
I can't make any promises.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you guys all so much for tuning in. This, I know, is probably a longer episode than usual, so if you stuck to the end, thank you for watching. And also just want to welcome all the new subscribers to the channel. Make sure you come back in 2 weeks. We're going to be over on Commando Santa's channel for the reveal of Mineral Junction's work, which I know we're both, like we've mentioned several times, really excited to see what he does. So thank you guys all so much again for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.